Who was it?
John H. Pins.
Mm-hmm.
P-I-N-S. I don't know where they came from.
Was he
They
older
were-
than your mother?
Oh yeah, quite a bit older.
Pardon me?
Was he older
Sorry.
than your mother?
My father was a
How much older was he?
lot older than my mother. 20 years.
Older? What a cradle robber.
Well, it wasn't her fault. It wasn't his fault. She got a crush on him
Oh boy.
because
And everybody thought it was bad when they thought I had a young girlfriend.
they thought you had what?
Never mind. 20 years, that's quite a difference.
But he didn't look 20 years older.
Mm-hmm.
He was a very young looking man.
Was he?
Very nice looking. And my mother said he always dressed so clean that she decided it would be nice to marry him.
He had a lot of opportunities in life,
Who?
Grandpa Pins. Didn't he have an implement business? Didn't he sell farm implements?
They sell what?
Farm implements.
Oh yeah, he did.
He was kind of like Uncle Nicky in a way. He started high and then worked his way down.
You know, he was kind of self-educated. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes. The School of Hard Knocks. The School of Hard Knocks.
Yeah,
And Grandma was working at the hotel, and that's where he used to come in to eat.
yeah.
And the rest is history. If it wouldn't have been for that, none of us would exist. Well, Greg would.
I would. I just wouldn't be here.
He wore such clean shirts all the time. He wore white shirts.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of business did he do?
He was in the farm implement business.
Yeah.
And then they moved down to,
What would they do? The people would. What do you do on people's farms?
I don't know. What would he do?
Well, he did something on their farms.
He ran a tavern in
In Clayton.
Clayton, and his luck really held because the Prohibition broke out.
Is that what happened?
And instead of getting rich during Prohibition, he was strictly by the law, and they closed the tavern and moved to Dubuque.
Is that what they did?
I believe.
I can quite remember what happened.
And they moved to Dubuque, and you bought this house. And Uncle Barney bought the other half. His brother, Uncle Barney, who used to always have a beer bottle in his back pocket,
Yeah.
bought the other side.
And he'd climb up to the, what would he do?
He'd go up on the roof.
To fix it.
Yeah, every day.
And take a swig of beer.
And his son, Uncle Barney's son, was Art Pins.
Oh, young Art.
And you're in a picture in the other room with you and Art Pins.
Yeah.
And Art Pins ended up running a supper club, very successful supper club,
Yeah.
called the Old Timers.
But he called himself young Art.
I know that. Yep, you're right. Mm-hmm.
I forgot about that.
Mm-hmm. And then and Uncle Bill and Aunt Helen lived upstairs above Uncle Barney, and
Oh, yeah, they did. How did they do that, Daddy?
well, they lived upstairs, and Uncle Bill and Aunt Helen lived upstairs, and Uncle Barney and his wife, what was her name?
Aunt Mary.
Aunt Mary lived downstairs. And you and Grandma Pins and Grandpa Pins lived downstairs, and my mother, Dorothy, and her husband, Dorrance, lived upstairs on this side.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Mm-hmm.
Was that Doris and Dorothy?
Yes, and then they bought the house next door,
Which house was that?
over there. Lester Went's house.
Oh, yes. Lester went. He was married to Evelyn.
And ended up being a millionaire.
Yeah,
And wanted my dad to move to Oregon.
yeah. He would have made him some kind of a what do you call those?
He wanted my dad to be an electrician.
Yeah. And your father was an awfully smart man.
Mm-hmm.
But why wouldn't he go?
Well, I don't think he had a spirit of adventure.
No.
He liked the sure thing.
Yeah.
Although he bought a Oldsmobile convertible one time, a white one with a blue top.
He did.
An Oldsmobile convertible, no less. It was beautiful. It really was beautiful.
Wow.
And it had a blue interior, baby blue interior.
Did you drive it, Daddy?
I never drove it, but my brother Terry did. He parked it on top of a rock pile. And that was the end of the Oldsmobile convertible.
God.
Grandpa Sullivan, Dorrance always had very nice cars.
Oh, he did have nice cars.
Always.
How come?
He liked nice automobiles.
Yeah.
That's one thing, and he always dressed real nice.
Yeah. He was a nice man.
He wore nice clothes even to work and hung all of his nice clothes up in his locker and put his work clothes on. Because Kenny Patters, a friend of mine, worked with Grandpa Sullivan down at Caradco.
And what about it?
He said he was the best dressed man in the whole factory.
Oh, he was. He never, you never saw him dressed badly, did he?
Right, yep.
I wonder, did those Sullivans all do that?
I don't know.
But he came from some Sullivan family down the country someplace.
Were they horse thieves?
They dealt in horses.
They raised horses. I guess they didn't steal them.
And
They
at
bought
one
it, sold them.
time, they were the wealthiest people.
Yes.
But that one squandered it. Who was he?
Connie,
Connie squandered.
my grandfather.
Yeah,
We come from a long line of squanderers.
but not Johnny. Johnny was very conservative.
Johnny worked for the post office, his twin brother.
Is that what?
Mm-hmm.
He was smart.
Isn't it funny? My grandfather had a drinking problem, and my dad had a drinking problem, and I had a drinking problem. Hopefully it stopped there.
Did you inherit that?
I didn't need much help. Remember how Aunt Lou got mad because the priest at Dad's funeral, Dorrance's funeral, said that even though he drank quite a bit, he was always a hard-working person. He always worked hard all of his life, and he did. He had a
Who said that about him?
The priest at his funeral.
Yeah, who was he?
I can't remember. That priest had a drinking problem. Everybody in Dubuque had a drinking problem. They all worked hard and drank hard and prayed hard. They all went to church, and isn't that funny? At one time they had almost as many churches as they had taverns.
I forgot about that, Daddy.
It was a mill town they made windows and doors, and they used to float the lumber rafts down the Wisconsin River and down the Mississippi River, and they had the big lumber yards down by the river, and they sawed logs up and they made windows and doors and woodwork.
That's right.
That's what the shot tower was there for.
Is it?
Well, no, it originally made shot during the Civil War.
And that drops
Lead.
Did tell her about it, what the shot tower did.
They heated lead at the top, and they dropped it down through screens, and then it dropped into water at the bottom, and it made bullets for muskets.
It made bullets.
Wow.
When it dropped out.
Wow.
And then after the Civil War, they made it into a fire watch.
To what?
They made it into a fire watch tower.
Or did they?
And they had a big lumber fire down there.
Oh, yes. Was that in my time?
Yeah, well, no, it might probably a little early for you, maybe. You were born in 1909.
Yeah.
And I think when that it was still in the 1800s when they had that big fire.
What year?
Well, the Civil War would have been in 1864 or 5 or somewhere
Yeah.
around in there, wasn't it?
65. Or 64.
So 49 years after the Civil War, you were born.
Just think of that.
Wow.
How many years?
And that's just about the time at the end of the Civil War, just about that time when they had Custer's last stand.
Who died?
General Custer.
Oh, yeah.
Nobody you knew, but it was.
He made a miscalculation.
Yes, he did. Let's see. Of course, they didn't have solar
what's
adding machines and
Was
stuff.
General
Let's see.
Custer-
5,000 horses divided by.
Was
Oh, that was
General
one of the shirts
Custer
I
an
bought in,
Indian fighter?
Breckenridge.
What did it say? He made a miscalculation.
No, it has it says